Hello everyone, a very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of the viewers from around the world. This is your host Vaibhav. I welcome all of you to today's session of JForex Indicators Explained webinar, in which we will be looking at the uses, the concept, the properties of indicator developed by Bill Williams. The name is Gator. This is a complementary indicator of the alligator indicator, which we saw in the last session. In this session, I will explain to you some of the simple applications of this indicator. The concept is also almost simple to understand and equally easy to implement in any strategy which you feel like is going to have higher probability of making money using this indicator. So for adding this indicator, you get two options. You can go by add indicator or you can simply do a quick search. If you just want to know where this indicator is listed, it is amongst the Bill Williams indicator. Or for a quick addition, you can do a quick search, type in Gator and you get it. All right. So here it is, Gator Oscillator. Now this is the chart of the Euro USD drawn on the hourly time frame, hourly candlestick, and here, as you can notice, we have this sharp move in the Euro USD in which it has gained almost 200 or more than 200 pips from the lower end in last couple of hours, last 2 hours, and this is a interesting formation here. Now, if we look at the values of the Gator oscillator, here you can notice that it started to show expansion on the Gator timeline. If we consider both the histograms, it started to rise earlier in the day. Before that, it was going into the contraction phase. Then eventually this phase also started to contract, and after that it started to rise again and this sharp jump. But now that the price is stabilizing again, we are observing these red bars of the histogram again starting to contract and green bars are also following suit. This is because these histogram bars are derived simply by taking into account the difference between the alligator's jaws, the teeth, and the lips. So, if you are aware, the gator jaw is 13, the tips are 8, and the lips are 5 candlestick moving averages. And whenever there is a sharp move, first you will notice that the smallest calculation period moving average is going to follow suit the price action. And that means the difference between the 5 period moving average and the 8 period moving average is going to expand first. After that, the difference between the 13 period moving average and the 8 period moving average is going to expand. And since these red bars have been used to simply plot the difference between the 5 period and the 8 period moving averages with absolute values being turned negative for the simplicity of the plotting. So we have first expansion observed in this bar, and then these green bars positive values also start to expand when the momentum picks up and it continues. But whenever it starts to stabilize, we get these bars of the Gator indicator with the red bars starting to contract again, and then we have these green bars also starting to decline, starting to contract, and that simply means the jaws, the teeth, and the lips of the alligator are now condensing or getting close to each other after having seen significant expansion. So this might be indicative of the contraction, or you can say the phase might be now turning from trending to going sideways. Simply a consolidation phase might be beginning, and that's why we are seeing this contraction on these both the bars of the histogram. So the simple use of this indicator is when we have started to observe the expansion of this green as well as the red bars, and that is the time I feel is indicative of the beginning of the trend. It might be bullish or it might be bearish. These values have nothing to do with the direction of the trend. These are simply there to define the strength of the trend. So for defining or determining the side of the trend, for determining whether it is bullish or bearish, you have to rely more on the price action data or any other indicator, and these indicators are not really going to help. But for figuring out the strength of the trend, for the momentum of the trend, you can of course rely on these values, and this give you a good idea of when the things are trending, when things are going sideways. So you can accordingly make adjustments to your plan and start looking for the right opportune time, right opportune moment to get involved for the initiation of the new trend, new trade as well. Whenever the new trend is beginning, as we are likely to have higher probability of making money when the things are trending rather than sideways. So that's our job. There is to figure out the opportunities where we feel we are likely to have a higher probability of making money. So for a simple interpretation, all you have to do is pay attention to this expansion and the contraction of both these bars. And always remember, first expansion will be noticed on the right side of this histogram. And then whenever it starts to pick up pace, then expansion will also be reflected in the green side. But as the things slow down or simply start to get slower, we will have this contraction first observed in the red bar and then observed in the green bar. So we will have this interesting formation, and it is simple to understand, simple to execute, simple to use as well. And for figuring out the opportunities, you have to pair it with a trend determining indicator, or you can simply rely on the price action data. So both ways you can work with this indicator, but it is very difficult to work with it in a standalone manner. Now let us see how we can edit it, customize it to make it more useful to our trading system. So whatever is your trading system, you can always work with this indicator. All you have to do is get its applied price right. For that, you have to see its applied price and define it in such a way that it is helpful for your formation. So first thing you will have to do is use different applied prices and see how the chart moves up and down, how the signals are different when you are varying these applied prices. Suppose if we take high price as the applied price, you will observe there is going to be a slight difference in the plotting of the Gator indicator when I was using close price as its applied price. Now if I change it to say median price, again we are observing some difference in the plotting of this indicator. So that's how this indicator system works. You have to see that these things are given appropriate attention, and then you are working with these things in keeping with the concept of the trend, and also making sure that the applied price is in conjunction with your system, whatever it is. If you are trading on the lower time frame or on the larger time scale, you have to pay attention to the changes in these indicator signals generated. Now, for calculating the jaw time period, the teeth time period, and the lips time period, this is the default setup, but you can vary it. Usually, these are kept in the Fibonacci formation, Fibonacci ratio. So, I will just give you an example by doubling these values. I'm not making any other changes. I'm simply doubling these input parameters so as to keep the ratio same. And with that, you can observe that things are looking a bit different. We had the expansion going on for quite a long time when we had this trend upward momentum, and then it stabilized, and again we saw this contraction begin. And earlier in the day, when these things picked up on the bearish side, the expansion first started to show up on this negative timeline. But now that it has jumped on the higher side and it has been quite strong, we are also observing the expansion on the green side of the histogram. So first, the expansion is going to be reflected in the negative side, and after that, whenever it is sustained, we will have it also reflected on the green side. So you have to be careful about dealing with this option, dealing with these parameters. Now I will restore it back to default combination 13, 8, and 5. Output, you have to pay attention to these output values as well. You can color combine, go for a different color combination if you feel like, if you want to brighten up the chart. All right. The levels, we don't really have any predefined level for this. I think the bar chart combination looks quite well for this, but if you feel like, you can change it to line format as well. Coming to the advanced editing option, we get this option to define this indicator in such a way that this value remain constant throughout the current candle period. So for that, you have to opt for this option, recalculate on new candle only. So won't be fluctuating even though the current applied price is going to keep fluctuating throughout the current candle period. It will remain constant. The other option is to highlight the time period zone which is being used for the calculation. So this candle period calculation data is getting highlighted here on the chart. It is not prominent, but it is there. Calculate from custom data. The calculation can be customized further with the option to use this indicator for all the instruments available on the chart. So whenever you use a different instrument from the chart, you can have this indicator plotted for that instrument as well. Now, if I change it to say AUD USD, I will have this indicator plotted for the AUD USD. If I say change it to Euro GBP, again I will be observing this plotting for the Euro GBP. So all these instruments which are available to trade with the platform can be utilized for figuring out the trading opportunities using this indicator. Calculate from custom data. If you want to use the candle period from the chart, you can use that. You get these options there where you can utilize your formations candle period, and you can use it differently from the chart. Now the chart is of the hourly time frame, but I am using the 15-minute candle period as the calculation period for this indicator. So each hourly bar will have four 15-minute bar, and those data points will be utilized for figuring out the histogram of this indicator, the oscillator, Gator oscillator. So here we have this Gator oscillator being calculated using 15-minute as the candle period, even though the chart is of hourly time frame. Now again, I am going to restore it back to use from the chart. The side, spread side, you can use ask or bid, so you get these two options. You have also the option to use indicator on all the candle periods. So whenever you want to use it, you have to opt for this option. Else you can specify on which time frame you want to use the indicator, and only on those two time frames here. For example, I have opted for 10 minutes and hourly. So only on these two time frames we will have the indicator plotted. But if I go for, say for example, 4 hours, we won't be having the plotting of the indicator. So you have to be careful and see which is the time period on which you want this indicator to be available. So only on that time frame you will have this indicator available to you. So that's how these things work out. All right. Now again I am going to restore back the show indicator on all the periods. Base period, let us try out different combination. Usually it is not making any difference, so it is not really helpful for this indicator. The base period matters for some indicators and for some others it doesn't really matter. So that is something to be kept in mind. Guys, that's all from my side for today's session. If any of you have any query or any idea to share, you can write back to me in the feedback section, and I will be more than happy to take the discussion forward. For further coverage of the market developments, do check out the Dukascopy Analytics page. We are also available on the Facebook. You can reach out to us there too. For trying out this newly released trading platform, I have included the link in the bio. So give it a try and let me know how things work out for you. That's it from my side for today's session. See you tomorrow with a new indicator, with a new combination, new formation. Goodbye.